me introduce you to our audience that will be watching. I am here with Corrado Rustici, a master guitar player who has recorded with legendary artists such as Whitney Houston, Narada Michael Walden, Zucchero, Aretha Franklin, so many others. He has released Interfulgent, solo album released on February 26th. And Corrado, again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Yeah.
I want to start by saying we have mutual friends. I reached out to them. I told them I was speaking with you, Anna Kumpa, Lisa Walden, and
Yeah, no
and
comment.
Narda.
Great. Great.
And of
Great.
course, you've done multiple projects with Narda in the past.
I have. I was
Uh,
very lucky to play with him. Yeah.
yeah, and Anna Kumpa calls you the best,
Oh,
master electric guitarist and brilliant producer. So
thank you very much, Anukampa.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
and anybody who has met these people, they are beacons of light in our world. These two people have enriched my life tremendously just by their existence. Every day is brighter because of them.
Yeah.
Special people.
Yeah.
But Narda shared a little bit. He calls you brilliant and fearless and funny, and
Okay.
he called Interfulgent cutting edge. And coming from Narada Michael Walden, one of the best producers the
Uh,
world has ever seen, that is pretty high praise. He offers congratulations to you and your
Thank
fans.
you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you, Narada. Yeah.
He's a special, gracious human being. He also mentioned partying with you in the Mediterranean Sea as Les Sea Monster and Rocky Road.
Oh, jeez.
that
Oh,
sounds like
no.
that sounds like a story if I've ever heard one.
Yeah. So, when I was growing up, I was very young in Italy, in Naples, and I was when I was 16, I got to be lucky enough to just record my first album. It was a prog rock kind of album. And that turned out to be, for whatever reason, kind of like a very important prog rock album in the world, So I was only 16. What did I know? I just played, wrote the songs. But right after that, the whole Mahavishnu Orchestra came out, and I was a big fan, of course, of John McLaughlin. So I would just study all those records, that Narada played on, and Billy Cobham before him.
Mhm.
So when I was 18, 19, I moved to London with my band, a fusion band called Nova, which did pretty well actually. And while I was there, we recorded our first album and we were mixing at George Martin's Air Studios. And I was recording, the studio had three different studios where Jeff Hemerick from the Beatles, the historical engineer from the Beatles, would work. And then we were in our mixing room, and then there was the big room, and we didn't know who was working, whatever. I was just like 19,
Yeah.
So I was mixing my first album, my first Nova album there. And in the middle of it, here the door opens up and here comes in Narda, and he's recording with Jeff Beck across the hall, doing an album called Wired.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Wow, you guys! Oh, wow, you sound great!" And that's how we met. That's basically how
Wow.
we met. And so I was like totally starstruck. Of course, he was my hero. John McLaughlin was my hero, and we kind of hung out a few days with Jeff and George Martin, and I was very, very lucky. And then what happened was we did a tour. I got to meet, actually touring for that album, Alan Ellsworth and a whole bunch of other people in England at the time. We were all doing the fusion circuit, and then we recorded. We went into the studio and recorded our next album, and um, just different things happened and the rhythm section just didn't work out. So I called Narada, and so he came and played on this record. And actually, this record called Vimana got to be, it's actually still pretty well loved all over the world for that. Percy Jones from Brand X, Phil Collins played on it, and a whole bunch of people played on this record. And right after the recording the basic tracks, I just invited Narada to let's go to Capri, my hometown, and just spend like a week, and
So
and so that's what we did. He and I we just flew from London to Capri, and we just had a great time, and kind of cemented our friendship, which later, you know,
of
kind of
course.
like resurfaced and put us together again.
Yeah, and what a legendary working relationship and friendship you've had.
I,
So many great things, and with so many great people and artists.
yeah.
You've put so much music into the world, and it's
Yeah,
very
we were
special.
lucky. We got to like in the early 80s when I left Nova from Los Angeles, I moved to the States. And now that just moved to San Francisco and he kind of invited me over to San Francisco. And I just got up and went. And we spent like 3 days just playing drums and guitar, and we loved each other and say, let's put a band together, let's put a production team together. And that's how it all started basically. And then we auditioned other people, keyboard players, bass player Randy Jackson, and you know
Yes, yeah,
everybody that joined the thing afterwards.
and a couple actually sent me a photo of you and Randy Jackson and Lionel Richie and Narda from Tarpon in
Yeah,
'86.
yeah.
Uh, and other than the '80s hair, you look exactly the same, my friend.
I don't know about that, but yeah. So yeah, great times. I was so actually we all were. Just to be able to the whatever you want to call it, fate, car, whatever, just bring all these people together. It was a very powerful group, and they kind of like showed up in the music, I think, and it was we had great times. And Narada was fantastic. He was a great teacher. I learned a lot, and I applied it to my own productions afterwards. When I discovered and made Zucchero into Zucchero, basically.
Right.
And so that was a great. It was like going to college for me. And great musicians, great artists. It was great moments. It was the I call it the anomalous bubble of our industry when making records meant something as opposed to just likes and
Right. Right.
smileys on Facebook or whatever.
Yes. Yes. I can remember dropping the needle on Visions of an Emerald Beyond. And it changed my life.
That was a great record.
Especially Narda's playing.
Yeah,
Narda on that album is, and especially coming from the Billy Cobham years
yeah,
into that, and what a replacement for a legend
yeah.
like Billy Cobham.
Incredible, right? Yeah.
Wow. Just and it still does. There's not really a week goes by where I don't at least put that on for a few minutes.
Yeah, good for you, man.
So
That's that's good. That's good medicine.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk about Interfulgent. This is exciting for you. And you mentioned Nova early on, and that was just amazing jazz fusion stuff.
Yeah.
This is quite a different direction for you. Um,
Yeah.
you categorize the style as trans modern. For anybody that's wondering, how would you describe trans modern music?
Okay, so we all are experiencing postmodern reality, and we see it. It's a term that was coined a long time ago, but basically, we live in a society and a culture right now where it's all appearances and it's all flatland, no depth, no time to devote to explore deeper meanings. And it's all about me and it's all about looking, appearing to be something as opposed to be who we are. That's postmodernity. That's what we're experiencing. And that's why politics are that. That's why we have fake news. That's why we have fake politics. And we have fake music also,
Yep.
and that's what it is. um, I was fortunate enough to have a great career and uh, to be able to at this point in my life to devote time to just do the best of my capacities to just create art. And I don't make records anymore to make money or to support myself. I was very fortunate in that. Well, I paid the dues and I worked my butt off for 40 years, you know.
Yes.
But so I'm in that position and I don't really crave the likes or anything like that. I just want to give back to humanity in my very little limited capacity. My vision of a next step of the future, what I call transmodern, which is, like right now, it's just like the waves. The wave came in the 60s and then it's coming back and then it's going to come back again. I really feel that. And I wanted to, um, first of all, it's like a lot of things, and I hope I don't take too much of your time, but from a guitar player point of view, I've been really tired of the electric guitar, the way that it's been portrayed and used these days, because it's stuff that happened 70 years ago. If you think about it, when I was like a little kid and Jimi Hendrix came out, that was revolutionary. That was incredible because there was the technology at that time. It took the guitar from a backdrop kind of setting into the forefront and being like a diva, and that spurred like a whole genre. The rock, they came mainly from the British Isle, basically, where they
Right.
ripped off American music and they turned it into something. And that
Right.
became like a mannerism of playing rock based on the blues, basically. And it's all good. It's all great. We grow up on the shoulders of the people who came before us. I feel right now, from a guitar player point of view, that the guitar is kind of like misused. It's not really given the true um, place in modern music. Modern music right now, in fact, there's no guitar. There's no electric guitar in modern music if you think about it, right? So if you listen to electric guitar, it's old. It's almost like it's like a vintage, it's like classical music. And I kind of didn't like that. I thought that the electric guitar had a lot to say about it. So I tried by developing a pedal that will come out on the market, which is all over that album, Interfulgent, to
Mhm.
give the guitar a more expressive voice and try to collocate it in a context, in a modern context, which is more electronic stuff. I didn't want to do a fusion album because I'd done that when I was 20. So, but I did want to make an album that had layers of um, progressions and layers of sounds, all the stuff that I learned in the last 50 years, basically. So without forgetting about melody, because I didn't want to do a shredder album. I'm not interested in that. I used to do that when I was 18. I don't want to do that. I want to do like music, basically,
Mhm.
right? So I thought about it as a guitar player. How do I do that? What and so I started writing music and then I started arranging it in a way that it would sound modern. Now, Narada says it's cutting edge. I don't know. I think it's where the guitar should be, the electric guitar should be, as opposed to, like stuff that we were doing 40, 50 years ago, So that's why I call it transmodern, which is like beyond what we're doing right now and beyond what's happened before. I always say the past is what we know. What we don't know is the present. What happens every second. That's where we live, basically,
Right.
right? The
Right.
unknown, which is stuff that I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's new and it's always new and it's like creation continuously. It's like a bubble, and what we know it's been done. And
Yeah.
so anyway, I don't know if I answered your question, but I'm going off on a different tangent maybe.
You absolutely did, and it's a wonderful way to answer that question. It's absolutely genius, because like Jimi Hendrix, uh, it was taking the guitar somewhere it hasn't been, and you're doing the same thing here.
I don't know. I'm
I,
trying,
you
but
know, it is very, very unique. I listened to Interfulgent, and I haven't heard it before, and I think that's what you were explaining, where you wanted to go, and I believe that's extremely successful. And I would agree with cutting edge. It's something I have not heard before.
thank
Uh,
you.
Now you mentioned your signature pedal. Now you developed this, it's used all over the record, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this thing, um, so let me go back. 6 years ago, I made an album that took me um, 6 years to make. I it comes from the same need that I have right now, where what can the electric guitar do? So I sat down and I tried to see what the guitar could do. So I made an album that everything that you hear in it's just electric guitar or acoustic guitar. There's no drums. Everything that sounds like drums or strings or anything, it's just guitar. I just
Wow.
wanted to, and there's no synth, there's no MIDI, there's no sampling. It took me a long time. I can only, I mean, just
Wow.
trying to imagine how long it took me to make a guitar sound like cymbals, that,
No
so
kidding.
basically what that did, kind of, I came up on a couple of sounds of things that it is what I was really aspiring to get, basically like a saxophone, a more expressive thing. You remember when the wah wah came out?
Uh,
It kind of gave guitar players more expression.
mhm.
It's like something
Good.
like that I wanted to be more close to horn players. Because to me, the guitar, the way they make guitars, the way they make records, and the way they play guitars, it's gotten to a point like everything is in your face. Total distortion, compressed right out, and it doesn't sound right to my ears. There's no more dynamics, there's no expression, basically. So it took me a long time, and I did this record. Out of that record came this couple of sounds that I really liked. And when I got together with this manufacturer called DV Mark, they make this great bass called Mark, bass amps called Mark Bass. They're pretty famous all over the
Mhm.
world.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I told the owner Marco, I told him that I had this idea, and I was really into it. So he let me go crazy with this IT engineer, and I explained to him what I wanted and what I had done on the record. So can we make all this processing that I've done in the studio and Pro Tools into something that could be like digital? So we did. And so this pedal is going to be released this year, along with my signature guitar at some point this year, and I think it's going to make a lot of guitar players happy.
Yeah.
I think that guitar players are going to have a new way of really playing, of expressing themselves, of singing with the instrument as opposed to just going faster and faster, which is okay. I like to play fast too, but it's basically, there's no more music. It's like you gotta just, you can, uh, how do I explain this? Like on my record, there are moments where if it hadn't been for the pedal, I would have probably played more. But there are moments on the record where I just felt like Wayne Shorter or something, whoop, 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 stuff
Mhm.
like that. And that's what this pedal did to me, and it totally freed me from guitar prison. Basically, I use the
Yeah.
guitar as a tool, and so I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be. I think guitar players are gonna like it.
I think so too. And you mentioned that with expression and the Wayne Shorter reference. I feel like I there's a singer on this record, but there are no vocals.
Right.
The guitar is singing to me many times. You play a
Sure.
rhythm or you play a melody, but then it sings over it. It's very, very unique. You really have to hear this record to understand what the guitar is capable of, what it is doing here, and it's phenomenal. It
I
really is.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I wanted to talk to you about song titles because it is an instrumental record, and song titles. It's always fascinating to me some of the song titles that artists will have, like "G on a Sunny Day." Uh, for us, without liner notes and credits and things like that anymore,
Yeah.
I wonder what G is.
She is
And
my daughter.
that's beautiful. That is
In fact, you
beautiful.
can hear her at the end of the track, and she totally perfect. I was playing, and she went. She came up to me, and she went, "Shh, shh."
Ah,
I had to leave it because okay, I said enough. That's gonna be the last record.
that's just awesome. That's it.
Yeah,
And I say liner notes and things like that. And I was an old school kid. I sat in front of the turntable and I
yeah,
looked and I read and I read and I read.
yeah.
There
Me
wasn't
too.
a word that went by.
Yeah.
Um, right down to the fine print on the back that had,
Yeah,
the record company.
yeah.
Um, we don't get that anymore. So
Oh,
that information, that's your daughter, and that just makes it even more special. Just, that's just so special. I, I, I there's a couple here. Water of Enceladus. Uh,
okay.
Now, Enceladus, for most people don't know this, I don't believe, is Saturn's moon, I believe. And I remember, was it Cassini? Um,
Exactly.
yes, they found water and geysers
Yeah.
now you have an interest in astronomy, astrophysics, I would say.
Well, I love that kind of stuff because to me, I always find that very inspiring. Is whenever we read news like that, it really shows where humanity could go if they put their heads together and stop fighting each other and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. The potential of what we could do as a species and on this little grain of sand that is like going somewhere among billions and trillions of other grains of sand, right?
Right.
That stuff is inspiring. Especially the last couple of years have been incredible for astronomy. I'm a big fan. If I hadn't been a musician, I would have been some kind of a nerd looking for exomoons or something. um, but yeah, so Enceladus is, you're right. It's the one of the 62 moons of Saturn, and it's the one along with Io and Europa, the moons of Jupiter that are very great candidates for life in our solar system. So I just love the idea of exploring the waters of Enceladus, like being somewhere in there. Who knows what's going on
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and to just bring back. In fact, the beginning and ending of the song start with the actual recording of the sound that those the planets make. I got it from the NASA site,
Wow.
and I thought it was. Um, I love mystery, man. I love mystery and where we could go. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see it because it's gonna take quite a few more decades, but it's gonna be great at some
Yep.
point. And so I just wanted to leave a document about that.
That's just awesome. And again, the real sound you got from NASA, uh,
Yeah,
that's just awesome to know that.
yeah.
Does the title come first and then the music?
No,
Okay.
no. The title in this particular case, well, actually, let me think about this. The titles along with the music, they just hang out in your head, for months. And then some things that you really like and go, oh wow, man, this is really what I really was thinking about. And this particular album, usually I always have a couple of songs where they have vocals and lyrics that I want to talk about. This one I really made an effort, not although there's one song with lyrics and I played it with the syntax. It's not a real voice, but there's something else. But I just didn't want to have a singer on this thing, right? I just wanted to have guitar.
Right.
And this particular song, I think the title came afterwards, after I laid down the track, and it felt like really, oh man, this is such a kind of like weather reportage kind of
Yeah.
vibe. And I felt like it would, like when Weather Report came out, I was like a little kid with Mysterious Traveler. It was
Mm.
so wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I felt I wanted to do the same, basically.
Larger than life. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Atmospheric and yeah, totally. Um, another song, Ketwadi Lane.
yeah,
Uh, that's in Mumbai, India.
yeah.
You have experience in Mumbai, traveling the world,
No,
right?
this is about a great man that I admire a lot and who lived on Ketwadi Lane. His name is Nisargadatta Maharaj, and he, along with another great man still from India, but from a different area called Ramana Maharshi, they are the great leaders of what is called the Advaita movement, which is a non-dual movement. You know, like there's one substance, not many. And I really, I mean, really into that. I like that, and out of my admiration, this guy just had meetings in his house in this little funky lane, you know, and somewhere in
Yeah.
Mumbai. And but what he said was pretty, is going, you know, it kind of changed the world. So that was pretty impressive to me. I felt I had to give tribute, you know, to some great people that changed the world with their words and with their beings, and they died just, you know, you name them, Jesus, Buddha, all of them. They kind of
Yeah.
like died terrible deaths or whatever. But then the world afterwards is better place because these people left the seed. And so I wanted to
Yeah.
pay tribute to this woman. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Beautiful. Does the setting that you're in um, affect the style of music that you play? Could you have made like Catwally Lane, for example? Could you have recorded that and written that in Los Angeles as well as Berlin, or is that something that is, native to where you are, your setting?
No, so I wrote and almost finished all the recordings of this in San Francisco. So before I moved to Berlin. But I did move to Berlin because Berlin is the center of the European music. All I love all the underground stuff, all the electronica that they have here. It's really at the edge of not pop music, but like young modern music. There's a great community of musicians and artists, and the German government um, pays a lot of money to support the arts. That's one of the great things about this country here,
Hmm.
and to sustain that. So the reason why I moved here was because I wanted to be here, and I'm looking forward. Now, since I moved here, it's been lockdown, so I haven't had really a chance. I met with a great guitar player called Marcus Reuter, who is the guitar player from a band called Stickman with Tony Levin and the King Crimson people, you know. So he does this thing called the touch guitar. And so we touch bases and we've exchanged ideas, and we would like to work together. But I haven't had really a chance since I moved here because we've been like frozen into our house basically.
Yeah.
Um, but so, in answer to your question, this is just in my head. So it's like it doesn't, you know, same with the lockdowns. I'm not really affected. I'm always in my room, just trying to make up some music. So it's not geographically influenced, basically.
Okay. Do your surroundings inspire what goes into your head?
Yeah, of course. But
Okay.
yeah, but of course.
Yeah. Do you feel like your writing will change now that you're in Berlin as opposed to San
I
Francisco?
hope. I hope. I want to keep moving on. I want to keep being influenced. I want to touch bases again with London that I left many years ago, which I love. You know, all my friends. You know, Peter Vitesse from Jethro Tull, who we
Mhm.
did a couple of tours together.
Yeah, it's the trio, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Peter is fantastic musician. So now that we're closer, we can just do more stuff. I mean, I have so many great friends that Peter, Gabriel, and all these people that I haven't seen in a long time because of, you know, of the distance. But um, so I'm looking forward to how Europe is going to just kind of inspire me.
Great.
Um,
Yeah, that's great. Um, who first inspired you to pick up the guitar?
my older brother who became a big star in the prog world with a band called Ozanna.
Hmm.
He was the guy that just got me into. I was so young, and he would bring back all these records, you know, the LPs,
Yeah.
and he would bring all his R&B records, and then the Beatles, of course, which was incredible. For whoever is young enough not to have lived that situation, they really have no idea how powerful that change was. I mean, that I remember it. It was like, what?
Right.
It's like, and that's why everybody got into it. It was such a great time. It was I'd say a 10-year span of great creativity, incredible stuff, and which we haven't had since. Regardless how many great artists came afterwards, that movement of the change, which I'm hoping is going to happen again. That's what I'm looking forward to. And maybe if I don't see it in my lifetime, that I think it's going to be that. But that was incredible. And my brother just would be just a young guy, talented, genius guy who would bring all his records, and then all of a sudden he's in a band and he's writing his own material, and he's got signed, and they're like the big number one band along with PFM. I don't know if you know PFM. It was a Prague Italian band that made it big all over the world. But anyway, so they were like doing well, and would follow him, play on, like on the road, play sound check instead of my brother.
Uh,
Just
yeah. I
get the
thought you
guitar.
played with them. Did you record it all with Osana?
I, I did.
I thought so. Yeah.
I did one song that I wrote in the studio while I was following them, and I said, I got an idea. So they said, okay, go record it. So I did. And then, I got signed myself and I did my first record, but he was the guy. He was the guy that got me into it.
That's great. Thank you to him for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, um, eh, Early in your career, you did Cervello and Nova. Like I was saying, is kind of that heavy aggressive jazz fusion
Yeah.
thing. I mean, it's just if for people listening haven't heard it, please do yourself a favor, go visit Nova after you go to Interfulgent. Two very different worlds. Uh, but do you ever see yourself going into that world again, playing that kind of
So,
music?
yeah, so that's interesting. So the Cervello first album that was recorded in 73, it was the only album we ever did. That, as I was saying earlier, that got some kind of vibe, and people all over the world, especially Japan, really loved that. They had like 20 different re-releases of that album. And so what happened in 2016 or 2017, yeah, like 3 4 years ago, um, they asked me from Japan if I would be interested in putting up one concert, a reunion concert of the band. And I kind of refused because I'm not a nostalgic kind of guy. I'm always like pushing forward.
Right.
But they insisted. Okay, so I contacted some of my friends, two members of the band that passed away. So there was already a complication. But so we kind of like accepted the idea to see. And basically, I had to go back and re-transcribe every part of, and that was really involved music. I mean, it was very complicated. I remember when I wrote it, um, it took me a long time, but we did it. And we did this one concert in Tokyo, and we recorded. And so it's out. If people are interested, they can go on my site. There's a DVD and audio of that, of the exact replica of the album we did. And after that, what came out of that is that I discovered in my archives, and I have very deep archives of stuff that I've done. I had some ideas that I actually recorded at that time, right after the first album. So one thing that I don't like is when people do reunions, they try to go back and redo what they did, and they always kind of fail in my mind, because that time was gone. It's like we're different people, right? But in our case, we kind of like it because we have photographs of things that I wrote at that time already kind of fleshed out that we only need to just put it together. So we're thinking of maybe doing in the next year or so another album with that material. Uh,
Wow.
so revisit, but not because I want to go back. It's just because it's there and it was done, and this thing happened, and it's kind of like, I think music is very fluid.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
maybe it might be a good idea, depending on what comes out after we do it. If it sucks, we won't let it out.
Now, you mentioned that stuff is there, and that is exciting, by the way,
Yeah,
because that is just great stuff. It's there, kind of cutting room floor, if you will. Um, with Interfulgent, do you have anything like that? Do you have anything that was left that you just
I
didn't
do,
want?
and it's more finished than I'm thinking of releasing. Basically, I had to choose what songs to put on Interfulgent. I do have other songs that were left out that were actually mixed and mastered. So I'm thinking of releasing them as singles in the next couple of months, few months. Um,
Exciting stuff. This is all really, really great news for fans for sure. That is really great news. How much do you have? Can you share?
well, one song is totally done. I have three, four more ideas, which I'm thinking about how I want to. Actually, by the way, one of the songs on the album called Anna, I'm actually doing a version with rhythm because I want to do a video. That would probably be my next video for the record. And so I'm actually reworking that at the moment. But there are ideas that I thought it would be too much of the same, and so I'm thinking of reworking them with a different dress to progress, to move forward as opposed to propose and offer the same thing. That's one of the things I like to do. I like to move on, basically.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you are progressive in the true sense of the word, my friend. And that's great. I just, and there's certain things that I love and I can always go back to, like Visions
Right.
of the Emerald Beyond, things
Yeah.
like that. But to hear, it's so exciting to hear what you're doing because it is new, it's fresh, and it's something that I haven't heard before. And
Thank you.
that is comforting for
Thank
sure.
you. I'm a big fan of Vision myself, but I mean, that's been done. Who can make it better than that? I mean, to me, it makes no sense. So it's just like you have to learn from that and do something, hopefully, close to that.
And yes, very, very different too. It's just taking it into the next level, if you will. Um, and with that, what's next for Corrado Rustici? Other than those things, where do
So,
you go? How do you move from this?
well, hopefully forward. No,
Uh,
but okay. So I got quite a few projects. I got, first of all, the pedal and the guitar. I've been working on that a lot. I think the guitar, for some guitar players, they're gonna like the instrument. I worked on this for like 3 years on this one guitar, and the pedal will come out, I think, around September. So there's a whole bunch of things that I will have to do for that promotion, and things to show the instruments. As I said, I'm releasing probably this one other song that didn't make it into the Fulgent. I'm actually starting out. Um, in all this, we haven't talked about the production that I've done. I was very lucky in producing a lot of big hits, and after I left Narada. So what I'm thinking about, because I have a lot of fans that ask me all the time, is to do on my YouTube channel a how I did it kind of episodes. And I'm going to I kind of like already kind of selected, I think, the most important songs out of the stuff that I've used. It's already 44 songs. So I got a lot of work cut out for me. But I'm thinking of doing like one episode per song and show it how I actually arranged it and produced it and what we did and what we used. And I think a lot of people ask me about that. So it might not be a pop thing, but it's pop songs. And they were big hits,
yeah,
So that is in the works, and that will take me a long time to do. I have the new video to work on. As far as my music, I'm actually I'm so like exhausted from doing the Fulgent that I'm only looking forward to bringing it on stage. And I have a really great idea of how I'm going to propose this record on live.
right.
and I'm hoping that I would do that in 2022 because I don't see that before that anything happening.
Right.
So I'm taking this year to develop all these new ideas and to maybe write some more songs and to just kind of like toughen it up, just wait until things get better. And again, I'm not really stressing about it too much, but um, I'm actually kind of grateful for the time that I have that I could devote to maybe learning how to play the guitar because that's that takes like a lifetime and I'm not there yet. So
Wow.
it's just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've done so much in the past, and sounds like you are ready to do even more in the future, and that is
Thank
that's
you.
that,
I'll try. Yeah, I have a lot of great ideas. I mean, I have an idea of, but I mean, I want to do a whole record just with choir and beatbox and just of all the hits that I've produced. And so that would be very interesting. I did an experiment. I actually patented an idea of the software that I have, what I see as the future of digital, how digital could really enhance people's enjoyment of music. And but I think I'm a little bit ahead of time because I mean this is like it would give people the possibility of just changing the songs the way they want them, the way they feel. The same song, they can mold it to the state of consciousness they're in at the particular moment. So let's say you like Visions of the Emerald Beyond and you want to chill out, and you
right.
just push a button and the software will do that for you, artistically valid. And so I've patented that and I've been working on that.
Wow.
At some point I'm going to release it. um,
Um,
I just love, I think technology is always the thing that dictates everything, music and everything else, how we
True.
use music. And I'm a big fan of that. I just love how, I look at the electric guitar as a thing that it's not really not like a natural instrument. It's like a thing with strings, and then we made up pickups, and then we made it into
Right.
the sound, but it's not. It's something that keeps evolving.
Right. It's still developing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm interested in. I want to be involved with digital stuff, with software, and I'm involved, but you'll hear about it, I'm sure. I'll let you
I'm
know.
sure that just sounds, it sounds like a virtual reality of music kind of thing.
Yeah,
Where
I
you,
worked on that for a long time, and when I did it and I experimented on my songs, I was blown away because it's basically to me, it's like digital to me is not a recreation of analog days and make it cheaper or better. To me, digital is a whole new form of art, and imagine if basically you have one song that the writer and the producer can think of that song not just like chess. Instead of playing it like on 2D, it's like 3D chess. You can
right,
think of that song in many different arrangements, and then you can tell AI how to interact with the little bits that you tell it exactly how to behave. And I've done that, and it's awesome. I mean, I would just keep spend the whole day just listening to my same song and I would hear back things that I was like, oh my God, I wish I had thought of that before. I mean, and I wrote it. I mean, it's like,
wow.
so I think that is like, to me, the future of digital is like the artist kind of like throws a seed into the audience. And what comes back from the audience is the tree of
Wow.
what that song could be. And it's unexpected to me, the frozen stereo stuff, frozen in time and always the same. It's like a photo you could suggest. Okay, right now I see this, and it's like this photo, but the seed of the song um, is something that you cannot really describe. And in the interaction with the audience is what makes it 20, 50 something, basically,
Right.
as opposed to I just listen to the song and enjoy, which is part of it. But the future of digital music and digital art to me is how the interaction and how you can co-participate with your audience without them knowing how to do anything. You tell them, kind of like video games, like in video games, you have the illusion that you're free to do whatever you want. But
Right.
actually, the guys that made the video game, they have constraints. And you cannot do things that don't work, basically. But you enjoy that and you make it different every time you go into that video game. Same
Right.
with music. And so that's what I've been working on also. And um,
Wow.
hopefully in the years to come, it will be something interesting.
That is revolutionary. Revolution.
I know. I'm just trying, man. I'm just having
Wow.
fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I hope, I hope it's soon. That sounds just great.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I want to respect your time, Corrado.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Appreciate it.
so much. Is there one thing that you wanted to do in your life, either personal or professional, that's that top of the bucket list kind of thing? Um, is there that one thing? What would you?
Man, I have to say, I have been very lucky. I have done almost everything that I wanted to do and more beyond my expectations. I've traveled everywhere. I'm enjoying my life. I just want to be at peace. I want to, and I know that that doesn't come from the outside. I have to find that, and that's really what I would like to do before I leave this planet, because we're not here for a long time. It's very short, and I I saw it with my brother a few weeks ago, and you just could go, So um, I'm really interested in really enjoying my life and do as much as I can to give back to humanity from what I got, especially music. I mean, I will never ever do crappy stuff because I got too much out of that. And I just need to be grateful and respectful. And I'm going to try and improve as much as I can. Really, that's really my highest aspiration, is just to be at peace with everything and just do what I can. So I don't have any regrets. I don't want to have any regrets.
That is great to hear. That is so wonderful to hear. You've given this world so much of yourself, and your music is just changed lives and changed the shape of the world. Really, I so appreciate you. Thank you so much. This has been so
Thank you.
wonderful. Uh,
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Hopefully, we'll do it again.
yeah, I hope so. You've got plenty happening, so anytime. I'm always happy to promote whatever you're doing. So,
Thank you, man.
all right.
Appreciate
Grotto, thank you so much.
all the best, man. You take care of yourself and
All
stay
right. Many blessings to you. Thank
safe
you.
too, man. Thank you. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.